Good morning here in North America. Good afternoon in Europe and Middle East and Africa. And good evening in India. This is our Global Chamber Pan-India Cross Metro Meetup that we do once a month. The intent is to talk to members of Global Chamber and ideally identify a keynote speaker or two to be able to enlighten us. And oh man, do we have a spectacular leader who is here to enlighten us. I was wondering how many times he's spoken at Global Chamber. It may be just once, but it was so fantastic, so spectacular. He was the Chief Innovation Officer for the Berley Group, and he filled our brains with ideas that work, ideas that enable leaders to get to the next level. And you'll see very quickly that his career was enabled by his spectacular brilliance. And also, that's why he elevated to the highest levels of a very large corporation, is that he added value all along the way. And he'll add value to your life today as well. He subsequently, in the last year, has stepped away from Berley Group, taking an early retirement. He has his own consulting firm, and he's helped being very selective in the types of projects that he gets involved with. And I'll let Shrijit Mishra explain a little bit more about that. And I'm sure we'll be talking about all sorts of interesting ideas and thoughts that he has about business, about the world, and about growth and success. And definitely innovation, because he's got his brain around innovation, has been thinking about it for decades and been doing something about it. Shrijit Mishra, thank you so much for being part of Global Chamber. Thank you for being here today. You've had quite a career. You've had a fantastic transition now to the quote unquote retired life. You've planned for this moment. You're being able to balance your family with the things that you love to do. Congratulations on a fantastic journey.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug. Thank you.
Did I get anything wrong in my preamble to?
Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Okay, fantastic. Could you let us know a little bit more about you, a little bit more richer description than what I was able to describe, and then let's have a conversation.
I think the description is perfect. There's no need for any further richness. The only thing I would like to add is that I don't know what age group you all belong to from across the world, you must plan your lives in three phases. And I was just beginning to talk to Doug about this, and you must plan them in a way that in the first phase of life, phase one, what I call just around the time when you're finishing your education, 20 to 40, it's all about learn and earn. And that's an important thing because you find your best place. What is the right place for you? What's the place I can contribute to, etc., etc. That's 20 to 40. Between 40 and 55, you learn and establish yourself, which is you perform to your optimum potential. That's your second phase. And the third phase, which Doug alluded to, is about learn and give back. And for all these phases, if you're not planned, suddenly after 38 years of working in the corporate world, if I landed with no job on my hand, I would feel no work to do or nothing to do which is interesting. I would feel a fish out of water. So I would recommend that you plan out your lives in three phases. And I'm sure you can break it up into further phases in whichever way you want to look at it. But in this phase three, where I've got into about a year back, exactly about 11 months back, is all about retiring. And I say retiring as TIER, because it's or TTYRE. The threads have to be rethought of the tire. And you have to re-establish yourself with a new purpose in life and see how to take that forward. Um, if you've not planned for it, there are two problems that you face as you come into retirement. The first is loss of identity and purpose. I mean, suddenly you go and get into a situation where it is loss of identity, purpose, and feel a little bit of social isolation. because you're no longer, your designation, right? And therefore, you have to have a new purpose in life. You have to cultivate friendships, your family, and your young connections. Because if you only have your old connections, it doesn't work. If you want to stay younger, be a part of young people's network. That's extremely critical. Get youngsters into your network. And like I said, the best time of my life in many ways is getting mentored by a 30-year-old girl, who puts me on my feet all the time. And I get very, very delighted to learn from her. So it is about the new role as you retire is to find a fulfilling role for yourself that you always wanted to do, and do things that you wanted to do all the time. Whether you can define it in whichever way, but it is a combination of these three things that in my mind. Uh, Travel to learn and make new friends and with family and friends. The second is long coffee break in search of creating impact. And the third, the time that I did not have for myself that I have now. So it's a combination of these three, and I call them, in whichever way you want to look at it, as phase one, phase two, phase three again, or you can call them one, two, and three. But I spend 33% of my time, one third of my time in each of those three phases. So travel and friends, I spend 33%. Meaningful work, I spend 33%, and 33% on self and family. That's how I'm spending my current time. And Doug was telling me, what I'm up to, and I think it's very simple to say that I'm up to these three things. But within these three things, there is a lot to be looking at. So let me take the easiest of the lot, which is how do I find self and family? 33%. Focusing on health. Doug, you'll be happy to know I have lost 6 kilos in the last 9 months. I'm doing my gymming. All my touch wood, all my parameters are under control. Things that I didn't have time for. It's beautiful to go back to the right kind of should I say met the it's a way to go back to basics fundamentally. I never looked at my investment ever in my 38 years. Didn't have time for it. Now I'm looking at it, which is very, very interesting. And and as I'm looking at unfortunately, I lost my parents in 2020, both my parents in a span of 5 weeks. Uh, and there's a lot of unresolved issues. And then we realize there are land parcels available. You don't know what to do with them. There's so much of things that you don't look at when you are working and you're on your treadmill, which is something that's the 33% I spend my time on. The next 33% I told you was about travel and friends. I mean, where would I spend 7 weeks in the US with my daughters on friends, right? And families. I mean, for the first time in my life, I've spent 7 weeks continuously in the US, which I would have never done. I wouldn't have found time for doing so. I would have loved to, but wouldn't have found time to do so, as I'm doing it. The 33%, I'm doing some meaningful impact to the world. I'm doing three kinds of things. The first is consulting. Now, my company is called BrainCap Advisors. That's that's the first company that I formed after my retirement. And I get into a few specific areas of work. The first is innovation. It's all innovation and growth. It's all focused on innovation and growth. The first is entry strategy into India. I'll share with you a small presentation in the next 10 minutes to explain to you how I'm seeing the new world. But it's important for you to understand that India is going to be crucial in the new world. How do you enable companies to enter India? Entry strategy into India. So any company, whether it's a large company, mid-sized company, startup wanting to get scale in India, I'm very happy to help them. Not just strategize, but help them execute on ground their success in India. So that's the first one, entry strategy into India. And second one is helping them succeed, not just strategize, but helping them succeed in India. The second objective that I have is to actually create the next few big billion-dollar companies from India, from within India. So I'm working with MEs already, which is medium-sized enterprises, around $500 million kind of revenue, 300 to 500 million. And I'm trying to see if I can make them 5 billion in the next 10 years. So I'm working deeper with 5, 7 companies and seeing whether I can work with them long term to try and see if they can become the next big dads of the Indian world in the new world. And the third one is very clearly how do I help startups, innovative startups, technology, digital, whichever sector, sustainability, whichever sector you come from across the world. How do you become successful in India and how do you scale up in India? So those are the 3 areas of work that I do that's in consulting. This is all, as you can see, it's all about giving back and creating impact. All of these are giving back and creating. This is about creating impact. Then the second one on giving back and creating impact is through mentoring. So I opened a new company with 7 other top executives in the country called Cross Mentors. Now we actually mentor CXOs and CEOs and CXO minus one to help them grow and succeed in India. That's what we do here in Cross Mentors. And as we speak, there are about 45, 50 people and more wanting to join. We have been very clear till we get the assignments. Because it's been now 4 months since we started this organization. Until we get all the assignments, we want everybody to be busy. We're holding back people wanting to join us as mentors. We've got about 40 to 50 assignments already and are in play as we speak. So we do with the companies and the CXOs, we actually tell them how to grow and win in the new world. How do you help digital transformation and how do you create a roadmap for digital transformation? How do you create an innovation roadmap, both in terms of all 3, in terms of core, adjacency, and new areas? How do you create a competitive advantage through sustainability? And how do you create a customer-centric organization? These are the 5 areas where we actually mentor and we cross-mentor our CXOs and CEOs and CEO minus ones to actually become the new big leaders of the future. That's a second area I give back on in my work front. And the 2 other areas that I'm working on is social impact. So I want to work. I have always wanted to work in social impact areas that makes societal big impacts. So the first one I've taken, the first salvo I've taken is on a company which we have created called Beggars Corporation. And I'm an advisor to Beggars Corporation.
Is that Beggars, B-E-G-G?
Absolutely. Beggars, Beggars Corporation.
Interesting.
Where our mission and our vision is to create a begging-free India. We want to create, and we want to create a begging-free India by bringing beggars, by making beggars as entrepreneurs, converting beggars to entrepreneurs. And you'll be happy to know that we have converted 114 beggars in Varanasi already to entrepreneurs. And one of the first few entrepreneurs who from a beggar became an entrepreneur, she's a lady, Mirchmala Devi. She has now become a member of the board of this company. And the way we do it is do 2 things. One, you don't donate as an individual or as a company, you invest for 3 years. And we use that money to relocate, to re-educate, to reskill these people. We buy products, we buy raw material for them, the circular raw material, and they convert that raw material into, and you should see the kinds that they make. They really make some fabulous products, and when profit is made on an organization, we share back profit with them. So I would urge you to read a book which you've just released called Last Beggars. I have a small section on it at the end called the last chapter, basically the final word. It's called the Last Beggar. And I think it gives you a very good sense. And the government is extremely excited. Lots of departments are extremely excited. We have one fundamental problem. How do we identify who the real beggars are? And this is the first social impact piece that I've taken on under a company called Humanomics Private Limited. And Humanomics Private Limited will take up issues like this. And I'm advising them as a senior advisor to see what the next one will be. How do you take Beggars Corporation to success? How do you take the next big thing, social impact thing, into reality? And hopefully, it will be in the area of women and employment. We are looking at how to look at that area and see what we can do there. The fourth area that I'm working on I feed about 1,000 people for the last 4 years since my parents have passed away. Every weekend, I do about 1,000 people a month. Um, I don't go as an organization. I don't take money from anywhere. I do it on my personal level. Sometimes I feed them. Sometimes I give them clothes. Sometimes I give. Uh, so in many ways, uh, I'm trying to see if I can. I don't use they ask who's giving food, all these clothes, etc. I've very clearly requested with folded hands, don't give our names, don't say who it is, because it's from God. That's the way to handle it. Because you should. You can feed a hungry person, if you can clothe a person who needs help there. When it is raining, you give some raincoats and. So I've been doing it for almost since 2021. So it's been 4 years since I've been doing it. So I thought, how would I scale it up? I'm trying to now think of there are some parts of land which we are trying to create. We're trying to see if we can create a community to make a bigger difference. And I think there's an interspersed possibly between Beggars Corporation, that community. It's a local community of people who will handle everything in that area. It's in Orissa, and we are thinking of this project. And at the moment, the project is on the thinking part. Um, so those four areas that I spend my time on as I speak on consulting, on mentoring, on social impact areas, and on community projects. So that's how I spend my time. Um, Sometimes I wonder, it's one life. Can one make a difference? I think if you want to, you can. If Doug, you permit me, I'll share what I believe is a small little presentation that I prepared for you guys. If you guys are okay.
Absolutely, should be able to do it. And so while you're doing that setup, just a brief comment to all of you. So we've had about 15, 20 minutes of this conversation so far. We're going to run about another 30 to 35 minutes for this whole program. So what we'd like to do is continue to speak with Shrijit, and for all of you, please feel free to ask questions in the chat, but also we'll have time for you to engage. We have, and uh, uh, Sophie, I'm glad you're here. We have identified who we think are members of Global Chamber so far. There are some other people in this room that I'm not sure if you are, but if you are, put an asterisk in front of your name and then your full name there. There's an iPhone LFMG. I have no idea what that is, but if you could, and Sid and Wendy and Anurag, I think there is an Anurag who's a member, but I'm not sure. If you are a member, please put an asterisk in front of your name, and so that you can bump up to the top, and also that we know who you are. Shrijit, you are going to share with us seeing the future, and I want to see the future, and I'm glad that we can see it through your eyes. Let us know more.
Yes, I look forward to it. Let me try and the masterclass that I do with many companies for India. First and foremost, let me start by saying how the world is going to change in 2050. US and Europe steadily lose ground to China and India. That's for sure. G7 will be in many ways will be added up through E7, which is China, India, Indonesia, Brazil, Russia, Mexico, and Turkey. Those will be the other big ones that will begin to join. Emerging markets will begin to come into the top 10. Of course, US will continue to be a big daddy. Japan, Germany, UK, they will all remain. But China, India, Indonesia, Brazil, Russia, Mexico will all enter. And then the last, Vietnam, Philippines, and Nigeria. So what was India 20, 25, 20 years back, or China 30, 35 years back, is what Vietnam, Philippines, and Nigeria is today. So around 2050, you will see the emergence of these three economies in a very big way into the world order. So that's the first thing that I'm thinking that's how it is going to be.
Are
The
these
India
your
actually,
numbers, or are these numbers that you've
I've
pulled
taken
from
from IMF.
somewhere?
I've taken from no IMF. The source is IMF
Got it. Okay.
and
Good
PwC
to know.
analysis. It's right there in the bottom. It says sources are IMF for 2016 estimates, PwC analysis for predictions for 2050.
Super.
India has evolved faster than the globe. The India that we all think we know, is a less than 6,000 per capita income, dollar per capita income, 1.42 billion people, 60% smartphone penetration, 65% rural population. This we know. What we don't know is that it's the fastest growing HNI population, second highest social media usership, fastest growing luxury goods market in the world, and second fastest growing beauty market in the world. It just it just surprises many people when they realize this. It has the fastest growing consumer base, 1.5 times nominal income growth by 2030, 1.5 times. 58% of GDP growth driven by consumption, internal consumption. So almost two-thirds of the growth is coming from internal consumption. And of course, there is a lot of focus on growing relevance of value-added manufacturing and services in the supply chain. There is India and the premium end that is evolving. So it's an India. It's not this or that. It is this and that. I mean, there are the top end luxury cars in this country are rocking absolutely. 40% of the wealth is owned by 1%. So the top 1% of India is bigger than the GDP of UK. Mark the word, huh? It's bigger than the GDP of UK. 77% of wealth is owned by 10%. Just imagine, top 10% account for 92% of consumption. So it's micro marketing that you need to do very, very carefully here. Influence of social media and e-commerce is extremely high. They're growing shares. It's unbelievable, increasing social media consumption and spends on e-commerce, right? And of course, the emergence of non-metro, it's no longer just 6 cities. It's top 100 cities, which are really rocking at the moment as we speak. For across sectors, across India, it's the non-metro spending that is really driving this growth and rural spending that is driving this growth. So I've summarized the next 10 years, right, as what I call Ashtavinayakas or 8 trends. The first trend is growing middle class expected to move from 22% in 2022 to some of the estimates say 80% in 2030. Can you imagine, even if it is not 80, it's 50%. So it will be a pyramid like this, it will be a diamond. That's that shape that is going to move. So it will unleash the next consumer waves. Are we thinking about it? Then there will be people old. So what we call them as teenagers. So people like me are teenagers who are 50 and above, 50, 52 and above, have money, kids are settled, and they don't know what to do, and nobody is counting them. So there's a huge opportunity of consumer wave coming from the youngsters, from the middle class, and from the teenagers. The rapid urbanization resulting in hyper personalization. India or any city in India is no longer, you can't say Mumbai is Maharashtrians, you can't say Calcutta is Bengalis. It couldn't be that way. You cannot say Bangalore is Kannadigas. It's a combination of people who are living, and therefore within the city you have to hyper localize, hyper personalize, and you have to do your marketing and sales and marketing in a very localized manner. So there's a swift urbanization and digitization that is helping this quite dramatically. Third is India is a new breeding ground for innovation. We know that as an alternative to many countries. Fourth is India has become a software innovation factory with 50% of the GCC in India. So if outsourcing goes up, which is sometimes thanks to some of the policies that are coming up, in fact, GCCs may be rocking in the next few years. The entire multiplier effect on valuation through selecting ESG priorities and data and digital, data-driven insights and AI integration and digital revolution is here to live and stay. We have to be digitally literate and AI literate. Both have to be there. And we have to make sure we're using our data properly to create value. And last and not the least, supply value chain proofing will be absolutely crucial for the future. So these are 8 trends that I'm seeing, whether it's technology disruption, supply chain sustainability, criticality, innovation, multiplier effect on valuation through ESG, data usage, software innovation center, urbanization resulting in hyper-personalization and growing middle class. Those 8 trends are going to be the big trends for India. living in a VUCA world, which you know what VUCA is, but the VUCA speed is increasing. It's becoming even faster, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Now, and the only way to survive is to continuously innovate. Now, in this VUCA world, to survive, you need a finer quality, and no pun intended. Finer stands for flexible, intuitive, non-linear, excitable, and responsive. And responsible. You have to have flexible thinking from a need perspective, intuitive. You cannot have all the time every possible thing on your front to be able to take calls. Non-linear thinking, excitable thinking, which you must be able to understand, connect unconnected dots, and you have to be responsible for the act that you have on impact that you have on various things, whether it's a climate change or it's governance, etc., etc. So we have to think like a consumer company or a customer company and behave like a technology manufacturing, a responsible technology company in the future by delivering value across stakeholders and giving innovation-driven margin to consumers. How to disrupt in this new world? Let's look at consumers. Consumers are clearly becoming more exploratory and want strong brands across categories. They have sustainable expectations. Digital is a theme. Digital is no longer I'm going to think digital. No, digital is now part of how they buy and purchase and look. So you have to include digital very strongly into your company, looking at digital as a competitive advantage. And the last is hyper-personal expectation. No longer it is only product. It is product and service-based models that builds hyper-personalization for consumers. I mean, I don't want to get into this video, but it's a beautiful video that shows how Netflix moved from selling DVDs to selling video on demand, to selling their own program, to selling language program, to somebody selling live programs. That's Netflix, and I think it's a fantastic example. It shows how they have been focused to which function they come from on the customer right through. So one of the things I do with many companies is how do they become customer centric irrespective of their function. So I do a customer centricity approach for take a case and show them what finance can do, what supply chain can do, etc., from a customer lens. So Netflix is a good example. The other good example that I can give you is so Netflix people will say, it's a B2C company, they can do it. What about a B2B company? There's nothing called B2B in my parlance. Look at this company. It's there from aerospace to utilities to retail, manufacturing, life sciences, healthcare, energy, commercial buildings. How can they do this? From autopilot to automatic heating, they're there everywhere. What company is this? Honeywell. It's a it's a common. How do they manage the disruption playbook? They look at what is the same, what is different, and look at new markets and existing markets, and then focus on all the four quadrants. Breakthrough initiatives are not going to be 100% of your work. Simple initiatives will happen to be 2/3 of your work, and the rest of them you have to focus. So you have to break them into four buckets, create innovation for core, adjacency, and new businesses. How to break down this growth strategy? First salvo is value is a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition. We think top line, bottom line, market share, and cash are enough. That's how we all are looking at companies. But that's not quite true because here are two companies. One whose turnover is bigger, margins are similar, but PE is lower. And the other is a massive company from whom the appliances major is taking, kitchen appliances major is taking the material from, and look at their PV, their PE. This EV by EBITDA is 37, while this EV by EBITDA 6. Why is this happening? Because every time you're closer to consumer, you'll get a higher P, regular use product, closer to consumer. You're innovative. You have a consumer choice where the consumer is making a choice on a regular basis. And therefore, your margin is not cost plus, margin is value minus. You never get margins. My cost is increased, so I should increase my price. Why should the consumer pay for it? That's what the consumers want. Unless you're giving a bit of value, why should the consumer pay for it? So how you think makes the biggest difference. So both these companies, one is a cement company, was a paint company, and the other is a metals company, leading metals company with a kitchen appliance company. And I think really shows that value is a necessary condition. It's a top line, bottom line, cash, and market share are important, but not the only reason why there'll be a better valuation. Clearly, we have seen this. Responsible companies are selling better now, and they're getting higher PYEs. That is clear across the world. And this is another beautiful way. How do you redefine your business that you are in? And this is a great company. I actually love John Deere because it explains how they have moved. The valuation in 2005, it was 15 billion, 15 or 32 billion. And in less than 7 years, 8 years, they become 116 billion. The reason for this shift is because they redefined their company as not a product company of actors, which is what 90% of the sales still is, but they redefined their business as an advisory to farmers, provide holistic advisory to farmers. It is more than just being a tractor manufacturing company. And the rest is history. And I think they've really, really rocked. So, what business are you in? What services are you in? Think about not just product, but also services. And as you look at these finer qualities it demands, what do you keep and what do you not keep? What do you leave behind? What do you need to transform and what do you need to co-create? You cannot keep. You don't fall in love with what you've done. You have to say, is it valid? What do I keep for that? What's the new world and how do I keep it relevant for the new world? Or what is it that the new world demands? And if this means I have to kill what I love today, so be it. And you need to co-create this with consumers. You need to co-create this with companies. So this comes to the last thing which I wanted to show on this area, which is consumer customer centricity. What is the aim model of growth for the new world? This is something that I'd spoken in my last presentation as well. What is the pain point? Whose pain point are you trying to resolve? And what is the pain point is consumer customer centricity. Whatever solution you're coming with, is it driving the business more sustainably than before or not? And everything else are enablers. Digital, data, innovation, both outside in, partnerships with startups, partnerships with government, partnerships with academia, value chain partnerships, partnerships. All of these are enablers. So there's nothing called a B2B company. Every B2B company has a C at the end of it. So if you don't understand the customer's customer, you go nowhere. So you have to operate like a responsible technology company by redefining your business, but you have to think like a consumer company to be able to add value to your customer. Hence, the need for disruptive ideas which are are interlinked. This is the backbone of what I want to say. The new world is digital first mindset, not digital mindset, digital first mindset. If you were to relook at your business from digital first lens, how would the business be? Collaborate beyond functions. It's not about only internal collaboration, it's also about external collaboration. Flexibility to remain agile. Reassess through a purpose. Do people in the organization wake up for the same purpose or are they just coming because they're earning money? Do they have a purpose? Why do they get up? And what clicks and ticks them? No, we have a vision, we have a mission. No, that doesn't become the purpose. Purpose for a company has to be bigger than vision and mission. Last but not the least, we've talked about this, the value from ESG. Now, this is how do you do in the new world a success? You have to always keep the 6x6x6x4. This is my 38 years of learning in one slide. No consumer or any customer takes a call without the six senses, either a combination or individual. Think about it. Have you taken any decision in your life? Any? And if you find one, write to me. I'll bet that you haven't taken a single call in your life without your six senses or a combination of those. There are six needs. How do I bring out my personality by looking better? How do I stay healthy? How do I have a better home? Not paint, not cement. How do I stay connected, both virtually and physically, by driving or flying, or virtually through mobile phone? How do I have fun in my free time? And last and not the least, well-being. Well-being is four parts. In any part of the world, my kid better than me. My kid should do better than me. No parent wants the hey, my kid is not doing well, it's okay. They may go to a different extent in every place to help the kid, but everybody wants the kid to be better. Every parent wants that. My investment should grow. Nobody wants investment to drop. Do I have social standing beyond, my designation? Am I known as Shrijit or am I known as, somebody who worked in Hindustan Lever, etc., etc.? And of course, last but not least, do I have a backup for my life? If something happens to me, do I have a backup? And this technology is valid at any point of time, and roughly six. I mean, maybe seven, it may be five. In my father's time and my grandfather's time, it used to be a lifetime of six. In my time, it became every 5, 7 years there were six technologies. Today it is AR, VR, IoT, robotics, 3D printing, cloud computing, and data sensors, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. And there are four business objectives. And the most important thing is the day of her life. Faster men realize that they take no call in lives. It's only taken by women and family. The better it is for the world and for them. This is drilled into us as we work in Unilever. So my first 25 years or 26 years of my work experience. If you're not relevant for her life, it doesn't work. Now you take six senses, six needs, and six technologies, and you can create magic for any government. I can brainstorm, and I do it for many organizations and countries as well. You can work for any government, you can work for any institution, you can work for any company, you can work for any brand. So let's look at carbon. Why is carbon black? You are carbon, I am carbon, diamond is carbon, gold is carbon, everything is carbon, right? So why is carbon black? Can we add smell to carbon? Can we add color to carbon? Can carbon help us stay connected better through IoT sensors in the tire? So when you combine these three, can you have a cement that smells better in different rooms? In the bathroom, it has a better smell. Can we have a paint that smells differently in the bathroom and differently? I mean, morning it smells differently, evening it smells differently. Can I have a Can I have clothes? Can I have clothes that actually smell and bring out different level of fragrance at different points of time, depending upon the sun and the heat and the sweat? It's very much possible. But we have to think this combination of six, six, and six. Believe you me, it can be done with every organization that I worked with. And similarly, I worked with Aditya Birla. Aditya is some giver of life. And you look at Aditya Birla seen as a conglomerate, but look at it, gives life to personality through fashion. It gives life to mobility through relationships. And all those six that we talked about here, look better, better health, better home, stay connected, have fun, well-being, it's all Aditya Birla. So I said to Mr. Birla, as I worked with him, we must think like a consumer company and operate like a responsible technology manufacturing company. We are not a manufacturing company alone. We think like a consumer company. Uh, this is something that we have done quite very, very strongly. And we have a very good connections with startups across the world, converting OPEX to equity between corporate startups and governments. We did both for my last 15 years. I've done fantastic work on partnerships with startups and corporate startups and governments, and we used to call it Biz Labs. And we have 160 startups across the world for Aditya Birla Group. Minority shares, we're converting OPEX to equity. This is a huge opportunity to take forward in the world. And I help many organizations and governments to actually do this now. The what and how is incomplete without the who. And what you need is adaptability, not just digital savviness, but AI literacy as well. You need a global mindset to work across cultures. Sustainability is not something that hangs outside. You can keep saying climate change is a hoax. It isn't. It's strange, but it's not. It will come and it is coming in a big way and hitting you and you're not realizing it, or you don't want to see it. And of course, the most important, ethical leadership. How do you have a strong ethical compass in the new world? Which approach that is inclusive, resilient, with beyond IQ, where you love yourself, who you are, and love emotional quotient and create your social quotient. Therefore, communication skills are absolutely crucial, not just within your organization, but outside your organization. One plus one is 11, not two. That's how you think. There's nothing called competition. It's co-optation. You have to work along to make lives of customers and consumers better. And of course, it's a commitment to lifelong learning. If you don't have a learning mindset, you're finished and you will not exist beyond certain time. So therefore, HR or the entire strategy on HR needs to keep these two skills of the future in mind and devise a complete new strategy for the future. This is, of course, talking about building a future team. I want to show you one last video before I come to the last two slides. This is a beautiful slide. This is a beautiful video which talks about the Navy SEALs. I need not show it to. It basically says, this is Simon. Simon says that not really. The guy who's big, strong, burly always makes it. I know who doesn't make it. The people who don't look at each other's back. Basically, you have to keep this fact that you have to take care of each other. The most important thing in any organization that you work, is to take care of each other, not just yourself only, or your boss, or your group. You have to take care of everybody in the organization. And the more you give in any relationship, the more you will get. And that's how the relationship goes. So, with the future in mind, solve today's problems with the future in mind. There are certain things in your control, certain things not in your control. People are at the heart of the organization, and it is culture that drives every change. Remember your route through a purpose that your organization should give you. If you don't have a purpose in your organization that you work, make a purpose happen. Give more than you take in any relationship, is what I wanted to end with. Last two slides. How can we mutually assure success in the region? First, there are three big thoughts. One is deepen economic integration by enhancing regional collaboration and focus on just two areas, technical and digital environment. Sorry for the phygital environment, but it should be digital advancement, which is promote technology transfer and R&D, invest in regional digital ecosystem. I'm not talking about ecosystem within a country, digital ecosystem. And I'll talk about that even in sustainable development. To innovate at scale and maintain cohesive AI and tech standards. You can't have different standards in different countries. So unless we drive AI carefully, I mean, it could be a big negative. The second is foster sustainable development through resource and knowledge sharing. And this is applicable to us also as an organization. Coordinate, create resilient supply chain and enhance food and health security. And this is the regional cooperation on sustainable development is crucial. Cultivate human capital, boost skill development, facilitate labor mobility, and promote cultural diplomacy. Now, these are things that I believe we can mutually work together within the world to try and get better things going. And how can we help each other is the last slide that I thought. There are three kinds of regional collaborations possible, and we can think about it subsequently: for-profit, non-profit, and cross-sector and community collaborations. And the way to do it is to have a 6-step process. Define your objectives, identify and analyze possible and potential partners, establish a common framework for taking it forward, communicate with transparency what your objectives are and what is it knowledge sharing, is it scaling up startups, is it helping women to find their place in the world, is it taking beggars out of the street. Then pilot small prior to scaling up. Make mistakes, but make them small. And once you've made your corrections, that's when you scale up. And certainly measure and celebrate success. I've forgotten to add celebrate failures too, because if you're not failing, you're not stretching. And if you're not stretching, you won't succeed. Thank you. I'm ready for questions.
Brilliant. Thank you. Aju Thomas is an innovative leader with Cyril and Trinity Partners. We're working with him. He has operations based off of his base in Hyderabad, all across India. Aju, you've been listening to this. You're an innovative leader. What are your thoughts and anything you'd like to ask?
No, it was a very impressive presentation. Thanks, Shrijit, for the same. And
Thanks, Aju.
you on a lighter note, you've been pretty busy post-retirement, I think. So
No, because honestly, Aju, I planned it. I planned it this way.
no, it's great, and I appreciate what all you have, the length and breadth of activities that you have covered. It's really commendable. And we are purely into the real estate consulting business. I'm still far away from retirement, but and that's what we do across India, almost about 30-40 cities. And that's primarily our business. But anywhere where we can be of some help, let us know. We can probably collaborate.
Sure.
Thanks.
Because there is a lot of people who are interested in basically developing real estate. And equally, there are big worries that come when we develop real estate, and you know that, because this whole town and urban planning is going for a complete toss in this country. How do you bring a balance between the two? There's some work that is going on. In fact, there is a beautiful piece of work that's coming up, which I'm getting involved with a few NGOs who are top-level NGOs. We're thinking of two areas, Aju, and I think it'll be good to get your comments at some stage. You guys, any of you can be helpful to me. One is, how do we see what happens is when we about 300 years back, the soil fertility, forget what it is, how it is calculated, was at 0.26. Okay, take that for just because I'm saying so, take it. It was at 0.26, it's come down to 0.02. If you're trying to improve productivity out of the soil, how much can you keep hitting the same soil? How do you improve productivity of the soil? Obviously, the fertilizer that you're putting in, etc., is not helping. So that's one. The other area that we're thinking very strongly is how do you improve water levels? Because water is going down quite alarmingly in this country, yeah? And not just in this country, it's happening in the world. Bring down, bring water level. If you can take away the water level quickly, you can also bring back water level quickly. So thinking about these two, if you guys have any interesting nuggets or what you read, what you have, please, I'll be grateful if you can send it to me. It's a pleasure to learn from you guys.
Appreciate that. One of our new members, she just left, Sayana Dutta, almost got to her. She is a new member in the HR space. And so you talked about people a lot. In fact, the first real chapter in the book, Good to Great, he does an introduction, and then the first chapter is about picking the right people for the bus, and you emphasize that as well. Could you talk a little bit about the selection of people and the empowering of people in this whole process? And Sayana, I see you're back. I was just mentioning that you're a new member of Global Chamber on the HR side, and was going to let you say a couple words. And if maybe Shrijit could answer that question, and then we'll come to you for any thoughts that you have. So the importance of people, Shrijit, it starts with that, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Go on, Sayana.
Good evening, sir. I mean, I really loved your presentation, and I really noticed at some slide you spoke about diversity and equity. That definitely resonates very strong. So I'm coming from the space of HR, people management, and I am an individual practitioner as well. I practice POSH, prevention of sexual harassment at workplace. So it's a mandatory law now in India, and for any foreign-based companies also, if they're having offices here in India, they are also mandated by the law to implement the POSH Act. Right. So I'm working extensively in this space. I have lots of startups, groups where I'm working, as well as HR groups. They are mid-sized startups and bigger corporates as well. So I would really love to connect with you at a personal level to see if we have mutual synergies where your work can add value and where you can pitch in where I can make gender equal spaces for your stakeholders. I would love to explore that further.
How does diversity and innovation come together for you, Shrijit?
So diversity and inclusion. So let me explain. I mean, she's talking about DEI. Now, example, because I don't know we can talk in thin air. You want to increase women's sales force. Okay.
Absolutely.
And then you need to increase women's sales force. Suppose you want to do that. Now, at your stockist point, you don't have a separate women's group. I mean, it's a pathetic situation here. Do you expect the girl to remain without going to the loo for the 14, 15 hours that she's in the marketplace? This is so stupid. So if you are not an organization, now I'm not talking about if you want women, and women bring a very, very distinct thing into the mix. And I think everything in my life, everything being equal, I would certainly choose a woman over a man. I'm being very clear and upfront, because you find honesty of a different order, and they bring in soft values and culture, which is of a different need, in the organization. The assumption that women cannot do this job is the starting point of all the problems. That's the starting point of all the problems. And we
talk so much about equity, sir. This concept of equity is something which is not imbibed naturally. If people are having two different pedestals, so a woman has to bridge that gap and then her journey starts. Whereas for others, it is already there at a higher pedestal. So we need to bridge this.
I agree with you. So that's on equity, right? That's on the equity side. On the side, what happens is we believe it's only gender diversity. That's the other extreme. When I get into a company, and when, let's say, you get into a company or the same company, we do different, but something happens in the first 2 years with training and all we go through the first 2, 3 years. What 2, 3 years of talking the same way, thinking the same way, acting the same way, it's crazy. The entire investment is going on how do you bring up people to averages. He's lower on this aspect, so bring him to average. Why don't you play on the edges? Yeah. And if the thing that is lower than below the average is not dysfunctional, don't worry about it. You start thinking that people over a period of time start behaving and thinking equally. Diversity is about how you think, what you bring to the table, how it's a different way of thinking. Therefore, investing and training at this. So when I was, at the helm of work, I have to always ask my people, which is the highest level at which he or she is. Let's build that even further. Or what we do not, it helps to build the difference even more, yeah, between them and the others. So, it's an interesting opportunity. DEI is not, it's a huge opportunity. It's not an interesting opportunity. It makes a difference to the organization. And I think as we go through in the new world, it's not about equality. It's not about equality. It's about what women bring to the table. Only when you begin to think that they are as superior as you are, they're way better than what they can bring to the table. They bring things to the table that you cannot even think of.
I'm saying that. I mean, we definitely need male allies. We need more people like you who will be speaking in this way so that we can build not only spaces where women feel safe to speak up, but also always feel free to break more glass ceilings that are hardly existent to normal naked eyes.
I agree. Really agree.
Thank you both. Thank everyone for attending today. We do need to wrap up. That's one of the fastest 55 minutes I've been through in a long time. How did we do that? Shrijit, you're amazing. Would you like to make any final comments, please?
I think thank you for the opportunity, Doug. It's always a pleasure to speak at this forum, and I would love to help in any way you want me to help on any of the areas that might have tickled your senses across for global chambers. I'm very happy to work along with your people to see if we can create dramatic differences. I think if you know of people who are wanting to enter India or want scale in India through startups or want universities, so I do classes in the universities. I teach in universities. I do master classes for universities. I do master classes for companies. I don't need to travel for it. Or if I'm in the US, I can do it at the universities. We could actually do some master classes together as global chambers. So I think we should come up with what could we do together. Master classes with global chambers in how do you do business in India? How do you do business in the new world? We could do it in universities. We could do it in with companies across the world. I mean, I don't have to travel for this, or if I'm in the US, we could do it in the US, because timelines fit. I actually talk to lots of universities in India and in the US now. I'm in touch with NYU and many other universities who are wanting me to talk about, some of these areas. Seattle was great fun too, because I met up with the people there. So
where does your daughter live?
My younger one my older one lives in New York.
In New York, okay.
And the younger one is currently in Chicago.
And in Chicago, okay, got it. Okay, so those are two strong chapters of Global Chamber. So we can do something like a road show or something like that for sure.
Like a road show, and we need to travel for it. We can do it from our place. I can be here, you can be there.
Brilliant.
We can do what is called master classes with companies, with universities, with governments. We can do it with so many people.
And I'd like to maybe Aju, maybe we can circle back. Aju, because of his reach across all of India, I think there's an opportunity there as well to elevate the thought process. He's based in Hyderabad, but his office is, Aju, how many offices? You've got like 50 cities, right, that you're in, or it's a lot?
30 31, 32, and about 40 members. So
Fantastic. So we'll figure something out for India as well. We do need to run because there's another meeting that's just starting now. But Shrijit, thank you so much. This has been an extraordinary conversation. Really appreciate you, and I'll definitely circle back. So much here on the table to talk about. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Bye.
thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Sophie. Are you there?
Hi, Doug. Yes, I'm here.
Hi. Did you and hi, Shrijit. Thank you. That was brilliant. And also, I think he might have left. So did you see what I did there with the asterisks throughout that?
Yes.
So let's do that. Let's identify the members with an asterisk and also fill out their company name, so that that brings them to the top, and then the non-members come to the bottom in terms of how Zoom sorts it. It also allows clarity on who the people are. So as much as possible, do that so that we know who's in the room. So I'll document that, but if you could begin that process, that would be really important.
Okay.
How has your day been so far?
Just catching up with the project so that Lowell will be assigned at the event graphics, since yesterday he was not replying to my request. So I figured maybe I should create the task earlier so that he can see. So right now I'm just catching up with the events project so that I can provide him earlier requests with the graphics, since yesterday Jem and I had to follow up Lowell all the time with the graphics, and of course we need to post it right away. So
Got it.
what I need
Okay.
to do is just create the task earlier so that he won't so he can do it earlier as well.
Okay. Well, he also has to respond, for things, but yes, earlier is better. We have, these events are, weeks ahead of time. So now that you're kind of getting into the cycle, I think that'll help a lot. So I've got to run to another meeting, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.